Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and webinar by Maritime Gateway. The topic being impact of coronavirus on shipping and logistics industry. Before I commence the webinar, I will clear a few points for all the participants. In the webinar room, once you log in, on the right side panel, chat room, where you can see you go to people, you can say who are registered, all the participants, and then you can say hi to them and network with them. And also on the questions tab, you can type in your questions, which I will take up during the discussion. And on the polls tab, we have a couple of polls, questions, which you can answer them. We'll see the results in a while. If you have any technical questions relating to your login or participating in the webinar, my colleagues Madhukar and Mayuri are available, of course, on a silent mode. You type in your problem, they will be able to assist you. With that introduction, let's get on to the webinar. We have today panelists, which, of course, our industry knows very well, Captain Deepak Tiwari, Chairman of Container Shipping Lines Association, Mr. Talochan Singh Aluwalia, he is the President of North India Shippers Association, Mr. Justice Sethi, CEO of TCS Supply Chains, and we have Mr. Adarsh Hegde, Executive Director, All Cargo Logistics, and Mr. Captain Sandeep Mehta, President, Adani Ports. Thank you, sirs, for joining us. Both of them, Sandeep and Adarsh, are not online right now. Maybe they would be joining. So thank you, sirs, for joining us today. We will try to use the next 60 minutes in the best possible manner without wasting much of time. Without getting into much of introduction about the scenario, what we are passing through, because everybody is fully aware of the situation that we are passing through and the impact on our businesses, how the businesses are affecting, the havoc it is causing, including human losses and economic losses. The logistics chains are going through unusual and massive shock from the disruption caused by this COVID-19 situation. The disruption is from both the supply side and demand side. Terminals, container freight stations, inland container depots, warehouses are feeling the heat. The shutdown of factories and lack of manpower to destuff cargo, as well as drivers to operate trucks of cargo evacuation, has derailed the export-import trade and in turn the smooth functioning of the logistics industry. I have put in a file together. I'll try to share this with you. Just quickly run through. The stage is full. Anyway. I'll just go through the highlights of it. So we have the estimate is cumulative loss of about 9 trillion USD to the global GDP, and world trade has already witnessed a sharp decline by 32%. And India's exports plunged by 35% and imports by 29%. Let me give you a scenario at the ports. Witnessed about 50 to 60% fall in traffic, with an operating at around 30 to 40% capacity. There is a 5.25% decline in total cargo volume in March versus March 2019. And in case of containers, the downfall is about 12.51%. Now the turnaround time at ports is about 12.2 days, which was about 3 days in a pre-COVID scenario. Everybody might be experiencing the issues with truck transportation. As an estimate of 1.5 million truck drivers have gone back to their native villages due to the proliferation of the COVID-19 virus. And there are a lot of restrictions on intrastate and interstate movement, which we all of know. It also caused a spike in freight rates ranging from 15% to nearly 90%. The similar situation we are witnessing in the neighboring ports like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, with huge container pile-up happening. Currently, it is an estimated about 80,000 containers are the freight stations in and around JNPT, and about 50,000 containers at Chennai port. And we are hearing similar situation at other private terminals. So with this, I would like to get into the discussion part of it. My question to the panelists is, now we are in the second phase of lockdown. All of us are aware of the challenges we faced in the first phase. What is the ground reality now? As I just mentioned, there's a huge container pileup at the ports. How are we are trying to clear the containers, evacuation strategies? What is happening? What is your experience? Now I would like to start with Captain Deepak Tiwari to explain the situation. You need to unmute, sir. Whoever is speaking. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that for you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I thank Mr. Ramprasad for organizing this seminar. Of course, it's a VC and probably new to a lot of us, and people like me who are technologically challenged find a difficulty in working on a virtual stage, as they call it. Yes, coming down to the situation at hand, we are not in a good position. Let's be very, very clear. As far as shipping lines are concerned, globally, we have found that volumes have gone down by more than 15%. They are likely to go down during the course of the year to 28% reduction year on year when you compare it with last year. This is pure volumes, and this goes well above 10 million to 15 million TEUs. So shipping lines have had to resort to blank sailings. And just the figure that I got this morning, the number of blank sailings that have taken place up to now since the COVID hit us globally is about 435 blank sailings. I did a quick calculation here in India, and I found that 43 blank sailings had taken place in India. And this, the Indian scenario is between the 22nd of March and today. So this figure is an indicator of disruption. It is an indicator of lack of export cargo. And it is an indicator of difficult times ahead. It's not only for the shipping lines, the ports will feel it, the logistics supply chain will feel it. And when the logistics supply chain feels it, our exporters and importers will definitely feel it. So with that, may I just quickly set the stage to just say that today we are facing congestion at the ports, congestion at the CFSs, and if the importers don't trigger the supply chain for clearing the imports from the ports, both private as well as major ports, we are going to land ourselves into a pretty shocking situation. There may come a stage, I hope it never does, when the ports get totally congested and ships are not allowed to berth. We have a private port in India which has already given a notice effective from the 18th that they are not going to get in any further export containers. So this is, in a nutshell, what we see today.
Thank you, Captain Tiwari. I will come back to you on that. Now I'll request Captain Sandeep Mehta, who is into container business with Adani Ports, being a president. What is the situation at the private ports in container movement, in and out, volumes and the evacuation and the congestion? Can you give us a status?
Yeah, thanks, Ramprasad. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah,
Thank you.
your audio is, video has gone.
Video has gone.
Anyway, continue to speak and then
Okay.
it will come back.
First of all, ports are an essential service. Government has declared them as essential services. So we have been operating all our 10 ports and functioning at all of them. I think COVID is something that nobody could have planned for. And it has caused the way we work to change. The first issue for us has been the safety of our people. And that has been the most important for us to ensure that all our staff is safe. And then we have to follow the guidelines to ensure that there is social distancing and the number of people coming into the port are working within the parameters as described by the government. So that has put some limitation on the performance of the ports. However, as Captain Tiwari already mentioned, although we are essential services and although we have been functioning at all our ports with some lower productivity, but we have not had to put any restrictions till very recently at one of our ports due to lack of clearances of imports. I would like to take 1 minute and explain this to everybody because everybody in the supply chain is equally involved to support this. And I think the larger issue is that we all know in the first phase when the truck drivers vanished and they stranded and left many of their interstate trucks. About 40,000 trucks were left at various places and the drivers had gone home to safeguard their own lives. And there was a lot of mismatch between the government's instructions and the state administrative machinery's execution of those instructions. So there was a lot of interstate restrictions, but those have since been resolved. The ICDs and CFSs, I think railway came to a great support. Railways were able to, because I think also the train tracks were relatively free. There was no passenger traffic. So they have been able to move cargo from gateway ports into the inlands and therefore take some of the load away from the ports. The local CFSs at all the ports have done their bit and they have taken as much as they could, and I think nearly all of them are full. What happened was that government issued several instructions, directives, advisories, and in that there became a false sense of casualness in people to not to come forward and take deliveries because it was felt that it is now maybe difficult, but it is also anyway available for free. And that has caused a logjam in the ports. Means that has been in some cases counterproductive because people would now wait till 3rd of May or come only on 2nd of May to clear their cargo. And ports are a finite capacity in the port yards, and same is for CFS, same is for the ICDs. And unless people come forward to take delivery, there is going to be no port in the world which can indefinitely accept cargo in its ports. We have been lucky at Mundra because we have large amount of space. We have been lucky at Katupalli, other places, but some ports are naturally limited in their landside availability of yard space. I think what I would like to request is that the customs has come forward, the shipping lines have come forward, the CFSs have come forward, the ICD operators have come forward, the government ports have come forward. Please come and take delivery of the import cargo. And I think CHs have a larger role to play in this. I think they have to recalibrate their requirements, talk to customs, but everything can be done electronically. Please go ahead and do it. I think this lockdown measures will continue for a longer period of time and everybody will have to safely work together in a new environment, not to profiteer from this national problem, but to come together and show our best face and our capability to work with each other. I can answer any specific questions, but right now, I would like to only mention is that get cleared of the imports, and as soon as the industries are able to send the export boxes, get it streamlined, because there is now enough trucks available, enough transport is available. There are limited pockets where there are challenges, but unless we make that move ahead, in the areas approved by the government to start work, because the economy will suffer indefinitely if we will not take action now. I think, Ram Prasad, I rest now, but
Okay.
happy to interject later on.
Sure, sir. We'll come back on that. Now that brings me to Mr. Adarsh Hegde, who is the largest private CFS operator. Sir, we have heard shipping lines perspective and port perspective. The moment I type in containers and CFS, I mean, CFS is the only thing that is coming up in the Google these days. So I think you are at the eye of the storm now. So what is the situation at container freight stations? And Captain Sandeep mentioned that the deliveries importers are not willing to come forward and take them. Now that some of the trucks are available, the transportation is available. So I want you to respond to that.
Yeah, I think we are the ones who are in the, what do I say, news every day, literally, right? But let me take you a little back. I think Captain did say well. Captain Sandeep really, he added it beautifully. What had happened earlier, right? All these confusions created. We also went through all these challenges in 48 hours. But the port and the CFS guys came together. We were back in action max in 72 hours. We caught hold of drivers. We caught hold of our laborers. We caught hold of our operators. We provided all that was required. We incentivized them. Whatever was required was done by us, mind you. And the evacuation started. While we started evacuation, we started getting pressures from the government, like what Captain Sandeep said. There were, some informations which misinformation that went through continuously, and due to which what happened was that people never came forward and picked any of the containers, thinking that there is free days going to be given. There are a lot of free days because of COVID-19. There's free days. We still came under while we went to the ministries, we went to the logistics secretaries, everybody came heavy on us, and we said, okay, fine, we understand there was an immediate lockdown. This was a sudden lockdown. We understand the problem. So we got into a huddle with all our association members, 198 odd CFS and ICDs across India. The entire Association of India came together, and we expressed willfully, saying that, look, this was a sudden one. So here we are offering you from 23rd to 31st. This was an advisory that we gave it to all our CFS members, because you need to understand we fall under the Competition Commission Act. So we just cannot do a diktat on anybody. But most of them, I can tell you, that have what everybody literally started giving them free days. But we didn't see any sign of people coming and picking up containers. Captain Sandeep said it, the importers did not come forward at all. The forwarders of the CHS should have come forward as well. They're a part of the Essential Service Act, right? They should have also done their bit. We did our bit. We continue to do our bit. We were pressurized by ports. We were pressurized from all ends. Please evacuate, otherwise the port will come to a standstill. We did our best, and we continue to do our best. While we continue to do this, 2 weeks went past by, 3 weeks went past by, and here comes again one more storm of it. The CFSs are not giving us waivers, CFSs are not giving this, CFSs are not giving that. Tell me, are we not an industry? Don't we have a cost as well? Today we also have a cost, right? When we see on the paper somebody saying transport cost has gone up by 70% and 80%, that's fair. Nobody has got a right to stop them at all. Here's the only CFS guys who willingly came forward and offered them from 23rd to 31st. Nobody ever talks about that, right? And today people come back and say that do more. I am telling you, Ram Prasad, what has happened here. in every CFS, they are to the brink. They're absolutely to the brink, like what Captain Tiwari said. You will be not surprised that if this continues, and hopefully the evacuation has started, I must also acknowledge that part of as well. If it doesn't continue the way it is now, the day will come when the ports will also get choked. People will not like it when we say that the ports will get choked. It is not the question of having more places. We have created more spaces. We have choked ourselves, everybody. Today, to lift one container, there's about 9 to 10 times the 10 shiftings of containers happens to pick only one container. Imagine the cost that we are bearing. Nobody even ever thought about it. We have put laborers, we have put housed them, we have given drivers food, everything. We have incentivized because even they're also worried about their life. We put all safety measures. We have ensured and assured them that don't worry, we are with you. Nothing will go wrong. We have to do this for our nation, and we have done that. As we talk, I must give you some small stats as well. He rightly said 100,000 TEUs plus were moved till yesterday, out of which 25,000 or 26,000 TEUs have got evacuated from the CFS. We are still with roughly about 75 to 80,000 TEUs in all the CFS put together just in JNPT. And like you picked the right number, about 50,000 in Chennai, and so on in Kolkata and Mundra and everywhere. One thing that has happened, we have also on our own come forward. Not just that, whatever we could do, we have also to case-based CFSs has worked with customers, the importers, the CHAs, and have offered whatever is best possible, right? People need to also accept that we also have a capex put in for such huge infrastructures, right? We are not just it's not an asset-light model that we are operating, mind you. We have our cost in place, we have banks to be paid, we have everything. And the entire business model of our business runs on a turnaround of the containers that happens in the CFS. It is not the ground rent that we make money, it's the turnaround of the containers that earns out the revenue, right? And today there's no turnaround at all. It's completely come to a standstill. In the last 7 days, I must say there is a huge improvement that has happened. And this improvement is also, I wouldn't want to not say that wouldn't want to give the credit. I should credit the transporters, the CHAs who have come forward for sure, but there's more to be done. In JNPT, one stat, 4,500 containers get evacuated in a day from the CFS in a normal situation. Today, we are at about 2,300 containers. So we moved from where it was. I must thank all the importers and the transporters who have come forward, the CHAs who have come forward to evacuate these boxes. I only hope this continues. Let's not big brat about what's happening, and let's not target CFSs. Please appreciate that CFS is also an industry. They have their cost as well. So this is where I would want to leave a note. Having said that, we are open to any discussions, any questions in that respect. I'm happy to answer as well.
Sure, sir. We'll come back to you, Adarsh ji, for thank you for putting things very, very clear. One thing I do not understand is, yes, exactly, every business has a cost, and only why one segment is targeted to extend the facility. In case of PPP operators, I have seen a government notification wherein the revenues are deferred, not waived off. Which means the government revenues it very much wants to take, right?
Yeah,
and also, before this webinar, I was talking to some of the importers. Why this allegation on why this insisting on the waivers? To my surprise, I have found that some of them are not willing to take delivery because of all these issues. And I'm afraid that there could be more abundant containers will be waiting at your CFSs or ports. That scenario, the low cost
cargo
could be left over. I mean, there is a possibility. Anyway,
true.
Now I'll bring in Mr. Jesse Sethi. Sir, on transportation part, we have discussed about the truck driver situation quite often, and at every webinar that is being discussed, and we know that they are not available. But what is the situation in this lockdown 2.0? Any of the transportation restored even to some extent? And the second part of the question is, post lockdown, can we expect these drivers to come back and normalcy would be restored? Because the psyche is, once you go back, maybe you will find a lot of alternative employment at place, and then you may not come back. So what is the current scenario and post lockdown scenario? Over to Jasjeet.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I resonate with the views of most other people on the forum that when the lockdown began, we felt it was the panacea to all the problems. Before lockdown of March, the day of Janata curfew, there were about 400 cases in the country. As of now, 25 days of lockdown, we are at 20,000. So they have gone up by around 40, 50 times in this period. The point here, other point here is that while the lockdown will look extent, stay at home is not a strategy which would be a good one. When the lockdown started on 24th evening, there was no place for truckers to go. So they were scrambling all over, the dhaba started to shut down. Ultimately, people took some whatever vehicle they could and went to their home because they had no the ecosystem. Stores closed, retail shops closed, nobody could unload them. The net result of that is that across the highway, there would be not less than 100,000 trucks parked either at dhabas or at petrol pumps, some of them at mercy of the elements as well, waiting for things to normalize. Now, once the lockdown started, that time people could still move to their villages. And most of the driver community is from the Hindi belt of UP, Bihar and Jharkhand. So having reached there now, there is no way they can come back quite easily. There are no transports for them. So they can only come back in other trucks, which is allowed for having one more additional person. So besides essential goods, whatever was actually moving on the roads came to a standstill. The private companies such as us worked a lot in time to get the vehicles to the dealership, try to unload them, secure the cargo. And I think overall the industry has succeeded to about a 25% total, which is left over now. So 75% has been a success rate on that. Going forward, what is happening is that the environment of fear ki ghar pe raho, don't go out, has reached an issue that the driver community from their homes are not willing to come out because of that fear and stigma. We have to come out with the plan 2.0, which says that return to work, safety as a COVID warrior. So before a time of life after COVID, there's going to be a huge time of life with COVID. We have to prepare for that. That is something which is we have to live with and we cannot wish it away. It won't be a one fine day that you find the COVID has gone. 25 days has been increasing. So to do that, the PP, other systems, precautions which we have to talk about, that is something the industry should start speaking about. I can see a building frustration in the industry because we feel that this lockdown is probably pushing more backwards now than forwards. But look at the economic impact of it, and not from a commercial point of view, more like a nationalist, more from a point of view of an Indian national, not as a commercial organization. And the same thing we see everywhere. So we as intellectuals find that things are now going probably from bad to worse. And lockdown 2.0 could actually be very, very bad for everyone, including supply chains, for essential, for non-essential, for any trade to start, for people to start coming out. So our sense is that, Mr. Ram Prasad and other panelists on this, that we have to look at getting normalcy back into the in the industry. The PM has spoken about supply chain being an essential service. It's not been recognized as that. The Disaster Management Act of 2005 doesn't speak of supply chain being an essential service. It's being talked about now. I think it is going to get a lot of prominence in the times to come. At the same time, it's important that we start to de-risk the plants, don't have penalties on them to operate. Penalties like if something goes wrong in a plant, they have to shut down for 3 months, the owner is prosecuted. So this fear has to go out. We haven't achieved so much by closing down, yes. We could probably buy us some time, not flatten the curve. It is time to go back to getting to work into the new normal.
Thank you, Justice Chedi. Now I would like to bring in Mr. Talochin Singh Ahluwalia from the shippers community. Before I request him to speak, I have a couple of announcements. One is I have my own questions, and we have also some questions posted by the participants. So next round will be I will be requesting the speakers to be responding questions very quickly so that we can cover more ground. So now over to Mr. Ahluwalia. Sir, we have heard all the versions of the. Now, what is the situation with the shippers?
Hello. Good evening.
Yes, sir. You're audible. Yeah.
Good evening. I heard the views of our, the service providers. Probably I am the only person at the other end who is giving trouble to all. The thing is like this, it is right that there is a congestion. CFS, they are very right at their point. But if you see the last mile of this is the receiver. The factories are closed, warehouses are closed, they are not allowed to open. And if any cargo, if reach to a factory or a warehouse, there's nobody available to take the delivery or get it de-stuffed. That is a last, and I'm coming from the bottom to the upper side. When we are approaching to the bankers, there was a totally closure of the courier services. So the documents were not moving. If importer is going to his banker, exporter is going to his banker, exporter documents are still lying there. Importer documents are not coming. Without documentation, there won't be any further development. We realize all the problems, we want. I also take it in other point of view, the government channel of collection of revenue. GST is, cut off by say 75%. Import is the channel which can give quick money to the government. So import is important and it should be clear on the priority basis considering government point of view. Now the difference is only that we give priority for the clearing, but actually there are shortcomings. There are the problems. There are the issues. Getting a permission is a, for even export stuffing is a big problem. I was talking to the container corporation for several days, to the railway for several days. I said this is an opportunity. Reverse the case. It is 35% railway, 65% road transport. Now it's an opportunity. Take the 65% to your side and leave 35% the port. As already mentioned, the clearance of so much of the cargo with limited trucks is again a problem. Friends have already told that the clearance has already been started. But this movement has started only after 15th or 16th. Slowly it will improve. The courier service are also now started, but still their people are not coming. So the documents are lying where it is, where are they? The moment until the documents are cleared, payments are made, people will not get the documents. As far as the importers and exporters are concerned, sir, everyone is paying salaries to their employees. They are paying rental for the factories, for Bijli and everything they are paying for that. So everyone is equally loaded on the expenses. But still, I request all my members, few members, NISA member, and all the community, they should come forward and get the things clear as early as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have some questions, specific questions coming from the audience. One is to Captain Tiwari. Sir, do you anticipate accelerated empty container movement into the country to cater the equipment shortage? Sir,
Actually put this.
repeat, sir. Now you were not audible earlier.
Sorry. That's a very good question, Mr. Ramprasad, or whoever has actually put this question to you. The situation as shipping lines are concerned, the one is, if shipping lines do not get any exports, the ports get congested and shipping lines cannot discharge their imports. The shipping lines are going to be hit so badly with tonnage, ships lying idle and doing nothing. Some of them with cargo, some of them without cargo. This is how bad the situation is. When people talk of losses, we are talking of billions of dollars of loss. And then, like Mr. Adarsh Hegde mentioned earlier, we are pushed by the government and we are pushed by everybody. Please give free time. Please give free time. Don't charge us for this. Don't charge us for that. And the shipping lines are the villains of the piece. Let me just clarify to everybody that when anyone is having a problem with finances, it is equally so as far as the shipping lines are concerned. So one thing we have to do is all of us get together and work the situation in the best way forward. Now, to answer your question specifically, I would like to mention that we will not bring empty containers into the country. We have sufficient number of loaded containers lying here which are not being de-stuffed. We cannot afford to run our ships on empty containers. We will stop our ships. We will have to. At the end of the day, whoever are the creditors, whoever are the bankers, will take their pound of flesh. Nobody is waiving any interest rates. So we are not going to be bringing empty containers into the country. Our ships are coming with imports. We should be happy that the shipping transport is continuing. The ships are coming with imports. Imports should be cleared. Empties returned. These empties can actually then feed the exports.
Okay, thank you, sir. My next question is to Mr. Adarsh Hegde. This is from one Mr. Avala Srikanth. Kindly let us know if there will be more demand for duty-paid domesticated marine containers by the CFS or OEMs in order to save costs or store imports coming in.
That's a good one. Maybe, yeah, that's the only possibility now looking forward. If the containers need to be, if the cargo needs to be de-stuffed, like Captain said, they need empties back. So probably that's the only way out. So as of now, if the importers don't come forward and tell us that they need the cargo, or at least de-stuff the cargo and put it in a domesticated container, I don't see that request has not yet come. But I guess going forward with warehouses getting choked, this is a way forward as well, I think. I can only say that much.
Thank you, Adarsh ji. Now I would ask a question. Customs, I think, recently initiated for the documentation movement an application ICE track. So how are things as far as documentation electronic movement is concerned? Can the panel educate the shippers or moved right now? Because that seems to be the gray. Who would like to take this question? Captain or others?
What was it?
No, the bill of lading, bill of entries, for banks also accepting the electronically generated trade documentation. Customs have facilitated. Are they working well in the environment?
Whatever I hear about, it's working well, at least within our system, because we are also into forwarding business. So in that perspective, it seems to be working well. Well, if you ask me how it works and what it is, I
No, no,
really
no.
don't know much about
I'm
it, but the
no, no, no.
EBLs are everything are
I'll
working.
put it this way: whether it is being accepted well, that is what the transaction is.
Yeah, the transaction has been smooth as of now, at least. In our case, it's been very, very smooth. I really don't know much about how it's in the public.
So my
I think
next question is,
Captain would be in a
As,
better
yeah, yeah.
position to answer that.
as far as the customs facilitation is concerned, I must, I must take my hats off to the customs for their fantastic facilitation that they're doing. Because during these challenging times, they have actually moved most of the manual interfaces to an electronic interface. And this is for clearance of vessels, giving NOCs, even clearing cargoes, etc. They have actually come forward and done a lot to make clearance as smooth as possible and to make life as smooth as possible during this lockdown period and even before the lockdown period. One thing I would like to leave on the table here is the thought that we are trying to push the electronic bills of lading, which is a bill of lading that moves electronically through a blockchain digital format and moves from the shipping company's office to the shipper, that is the exporter. The exporter can take that document digitally to the bank along with all the other documents that are required for the banking channel. And the same document the bank can then send back to the shipping company's offices for the shipping company to give the delivery order to the consignee. So we are trying to push this. The Ministry of Shipping has last week sent a directive, or should I say, a letter of request to the Commerce Ministry for requesting the Indian banks to start the acceptance of electronic bills of lading. The earlier this happens, the better it is, because if we can accept electronic bills of lading in India, this will smoothen the process flow for the Indian exporters, especially that they will not have to physically come for any documents.
Okay. Thank you, Captain. My question to Justice Sethi. Sorry, I just lost him. Okay. Is it time for us? We have been talking about moving the transportation share from road to rail. So is it time for the industry to consider? I request the answer from Justice Sethi, and others
That's a
also
great
can join.
The great question is already happening, as you just mentioned earlier, because of long distance truckers who had to leave their trucks to go home because the establishments were closed. So going forward, multimodal could be the the new normal. It's got a few benefits, and somebody already mentioned that railway has taken up more share in the last month or so. We've always believed it's not road or rail, it is road and rail, and also coastal short sea shipping, which also we do. I think it's a welcome change when the cargo gets more multimodal, either through coastal or through railway network. It also enables people to start looking at more containerization locally. As you would know, domestically, India is largely on open trucks. And whatever contention is there is also customized trucks. It's not the same ISO standard 20 meter 40 meter which run on the road network. So this could be also enabling things to move a bit better into the hinterland. So yes, our gut feel is that it will see an increase. We also feel that after this is probably getting stabilized, the hygiene standards which are required in terms of both handling of the cargo as well as for personal hygiene, maybe a trucker or that, would also improve. We also feel that there is going to be a lot more automation. For example, to stuff a truck, if you do a head load of maybe 30 or 40 kgs, for stuffing a 20-ton truck, you require about 400 trips. Compare that with a pallet, which is much faster, less human touch. So you will find more automation coming in the entire supply chain, right from loading of a cargo to handling of the containers to handling it on a multimodal network. So these would all be in sync.
Excellent,
And
sir.
similar
Now,
probably in the warehouse as well.
okay.
Warehouse also, because of distancing norms, we
Mhm.
have to have lesser number of people in the warehouses. Again, you would find more of machines, more of conveyor belts for sorting would start to come in. So earlier it was mainly a commercial consideration. Now it would be both commercial as well as business continuity process.
Next question to Mr. Adarsh Hegde. Sir, given this situation, what would be the scenario of liquidity and cash flow issues in our industry?
Yeah. Presently, all the CFS and ICDs across India are going through a huge cash flow. The cash flow has completely dried up because you can understand that we evacuate containers from the port, bring it to our CFS. Everything has to be paid upfront, be it the fuel, be it the drivers, be even that if we are leasing out vehicles because our own trucks are operating at only 25 to 30%. We are also leasing it from outside, so we have to pay them upfront. We have come forward and incentivize them, saying that move the containers in 3 days, we will pay you up, we'll give you immediately. So our cash outflow is bigger than the cash inflow. So one of the reasons is the containers are not moving at all completely. And if this continues for another maybe 15, 20 days like this, we will all get strangled. And this is the point of discussion that we've been having every day over a call with most of the CFS owners and CFS CEOs that they come on the line. We're all concerned about it. We have nobody to look at as well, right? We are a private operator at the end of the day. And that's the only way that we can only keep requesting people, please evacuate, please evacuate, please evacuate. And we're also staring at, everybody who has invested in putting up this infrastructure. They have debts. You might get facilities to pay after 2 or 3 months, but end of the day, you have to pay. Like Captain said, there could be a strange situation where they're going to stop bringing in vessels because they don't have exports. Imagine if this continues for the next 2 months or 3 months, and if there's no exports and if there's no imports coming in as well, the reason is because they're not going to bring in their ships. We'll all be strangled. We also have a law on, we've been already said that you just cannot deduct any salaries. You have to pay the laborers. So everything is cash outflow. There's no cash inflow as of now. This is the situation. So we are just hoping that it turns around and we continue to have some breather.
My question to Captain, sir, what do you visualize immediately after the lockdown is lifted? Do we see the evacuation happening, or do you see a sudden rush? Are we prepared? What is the strategy? What is the situation will be?
Ram Prasad ji, in my opinion, nothing major is going to change because several areas will continue to be under lockdown, and will be red zones. There will be limitations in transportation. Some of the people not gone back home, the migrant labor will not return so easily. Some who have gone back to farming will not back easily. So the economy is going to be impacted any which way you look at it. And till there is a vaccine, please do expect that there will be peaks and troughs of emotions building up, opening up, closing down, opening up, closing down. And this is the new reality of the world. So we need to provide safety, safeguards for people to come in. I do hope that business starts to pick back up but you will not see any mad rush, because on 3rd of May, world is not going to change and everybody is not going to be out on the streets. We have seen repeated problems happen even in the other countries where they had imposed lockdown of different intensity, and then they have also removed it and reinstated it back. We have had the same problem in Mumbai. 2 days ago, they removed the lockdown, people went crazy, and then the government had to reinitiate even with stricter norms. So, my view is, let us be considerate to each other. Let us safeguard the people, respect the transporters, respect the people who are working in our ports and on the field in the CFSs, ICDs. Ensure they are safe, they are healthy, and that we continue to build up this momentum of starting the industry and the trade. Importers need to come forward. I hope, see, if anybody is genuine, no CFS operator, no transporter, no port, no shipping line is going to say no to him. Nobody is here to profit here. I repeatedly told you. But giving a blank statement that come when you feel like, don't come when you feel like, is not a way to operate a commercial enterprise. And we should look at the larger picture. I do believe supply and demand both will be impacted, and therefore there will be blank sailing. Therefore, there will be more responsibility on supply chain to become more effective and efficient and more communicative. So my only take is, this is going to happen and stay. Please keep your people safe. Please invest in technology. Please ensure that whatever you can do needs to be done to ensure that the ground worker, whether it is the people we have not respected, whether it is the driver of the truck, whether it is the poor fellow who is going to carry documents and be in the front line, they need to be respected and looked after safely. Business is going to be impacted any which way, and we need to be carefully calibrating to bring it back. No congestion on 3rd of May standing at every custom house in tens of thousands. Not going to happen.
Thank you, sir. Let me slightly deviate from the trade-related issues. Now there is a situation that every enterprise has been mandated to most of the workforce to work from home. How is it working with the shipping and logistics sector? The work being field-driven also, at least half of the work. So I would like all the speakers to share their experience and what is the lesson that it has taught us and what is the way forward quickly, starting with Captain Deepak Tiwari.
Well, this has taught us to go digital. Working from home is is an experience, and let me just say that one can derive a lot of benefit out of this. And one of the biggest benefits is the distancing, which is required under the circumstances of this pandemic. But it also promotes digitalization. And what we've seen is that little things that we used to consider that must be on a physical exchange work just as well digitally or in a virtual exchange. So my experience basically and the experience of our organization has been this work from home has been a very, very good experience. We have been able to get more productivity during this period. We have been able to issue documents digitally during this period. And it's always been a learning curve. It's absolutely been a learning curve. But it's just that processes need to change, and one has to change those processes with the times that we are going through.
This is Seri.
Quite similar. I think this lockdown, I would call it, you can't step out of the home. You're at home for the whole day. So people have been working extraordinary hours. So I believe we have become socially closer while distance has been higher. I won't call it social distancing, but maybe physical distancing. but we have come much closer socially. And all the parts of supply chain, be your customer, suppliers, there's been a good amount of camaraderie between everyone. But having said that, this is from people like us who are actually at desk jobs, whose job is to plan and whose job is to coordinate. Logistics is a very physical job. Since there has not been that much amount of work, so probably we feel it is like as good as earlier, very productive. Yes, maybe we are more productive than normal. But being a physical job, the physical aspects need to be done either by humans or by machines, which has taken quite a backseat. Probably April would be at a level of maybe 20-30% of supply chain, including railways and coastal shipping and the ports. May probably again similar. So for us, the frontline workers need to come out for actual work to happen.
Okay. I have one question to Mr. Ahluwalia. Sir, recently there was an appeal made by some of the logistic service provider associations for clearing all the dues and 100% advance payment. What is the reaction from the shippers community?
Sir, your question is not clear to me. What is the advance payment?
No.
Can you repeat?
See, the associations, logistic service providers made an appeal to make payments in advance to clear the cargo.
See, sir, the clearing of the cargo is only possible when the importer gets the documents. He gets the document should be there and he should have the payment. Anything is possible after that. Under the present situation, the documents is a big issue. The second thing is, if the importers get the document, he has to make the payment. Banks, as we listen on the media and statements, they are not that kind of cooperative. So anything coming beyond the limit is just impossible at the moment. So the advance payment, I don't think is possible. I just want to mention one important thing. I was talking to the railway because my whole day from my home goes in few activities. One is follow up with the ministry for waivers, follow up with the shipping line, CFS, requesting them on behalf of my members to charge minimum or give the waiver, talking to the police or the state authorities for clearance. So ultimately, I motivated Container Corporation to take permission on the state wise. So, but it take company like Container Corporation some time to get a permission from the state authorities to send empty container or send the full container loads to offload in the factories. Now the challenge comes: the factories are closed. Until importers can process the documents, he cannot do anything. But the railway has given one suggestion, maybe useful to all of us. They are ready to give us a floating cargo.
Okay.
I mean, they are ready to keep the cargo with them for 15 days floating on the rails.
Okay.
So we can use the railway for this purpose also. Yeah.
My next question is to Mr. Adarsh Hegde. Now we have only a few minutes left to end this webinar. Sir, with consumer sentiment being low now and considering economic downturn across the globe, what would be the scenario of the warehousing requirement in the next couple of years? Because it was one of the hot sectors that we have seen last couple of years. So can you comment on that?
I think the warehousing requirements will keep going up only. I don't see that is not going to change because the entire logistics ecosystem will undergo a change in the months and years going ahead. And I guess with the digitalization, which like most of the panelists said, digitalization is the way forward. While a lot will have to, social distancing will be a part of our norm going forward, right? So warehousing in that perspective, the demands for the warehousing will continue to be continue to only grow. While we see that even during the lockdown periods, we've been getting a lot of inquiries for warehouses. It's not just because of the COVID rush, but in general also, if you look at it, it's a long-term requirements that people have been reaching out to us.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, to
Yes,
your
yes,
question
yes.
of COVID-19, yeah, you're just about what has COVID taught us. I think this was one question that we were discussing yesterday over a dinner, and I think that the unimaginable has become the new norm of our working. We had never ever thought that we would have 100% people working from home, and we could still be operational, right? And I think that's what I would leave it at that. Digitalization is, of course, the way forward for all this to happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Justice said you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think about the warehouses part, probably there'll be more warehousing coming in because of safety stock. A lot of people have moved to an environment of just in time, leaving out the inventory in between. Now, we run a warehouse for FMCG major outside Delhi. What's actually been happening for the last 1 month, dispatches about 60-70% of the normal, but inwards only 20-30% because the plants are shut down. It is this warehouse stock, the safety stock, which we are eating up today. And this feeds to Delhi and NCR area. Be there in all the parts of the country where we are consuming the stock which we had. Imagine the stock was not in this thing, it was in the plant. Supply chain was very lean, not very good for business. In many areas, automotive companies can start, but not able to because some suppliers who are on just in time are in a red zone. So I agree to that point that warehousing and safety stock would probably start in more, like what happened after 9/11 as well.
Thank you. One last question to all the panelists. When do we see business as usual? What is the time frame? Starting with Sandeep Mehta. Quick answer.
Ram Prasad, the business as usual is going to be what you see now. And this is going to continue for a period of time, at least 2 quarters. People need to realize they will have to work remotely. They'll have to work safely. They'll have to take care of their mental health. They'll have to conserve their cash. They'll have to invest in technology. And that is the new normal. So those who are thinking it's any different will be not prepared to take action. I again repeat, please pay your vendors, but ensure that you also conserve your cash. So do not kill the small vendor who has to pay to the daily wages and to the front line. There will be people who will have to remodel their businesses, take whatever necessary steps with senior management. They will have to use technology and invest in it as much as they can. They will have to build whatever security systems that they can to work properly. And this work from home is going to be a way for many companies, because till this vaccine comes, you are not going to have sufficient numbers come out and get impacted, and then people suffering again. I think this is the lesson we have learned from various foreign other countries, and India is no different. So let us prepare for the worst and let us manage accordingly so that we are all healthy and mentally fit. I think everybody who is working from home needs to also realize that it is not easy to work from home for people who work and interact, and people at the front line are feeling those who are sitting at home are being unfair to them. So that also is a issue that needs to be resolved and respected.
Thank you.
I rest my that.
Captain Deepak Tiwari.
Yeah, well, I actually agree with Sandeep on the fact that this is the new norm. Work from home is a new norm. The earlier we get used to it, the better it is. We have to find ways and means of, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm repeating myself, get more and more digital, reduce interface, human interface as much as possible, and start in a productive manner. As far as going back to old times, till you don't have a cure, till you don't have a vaccine, until the vaccine does not come into the shelves of the medical stores where a human being normal human being can pick it up and swallow it or probably inject it. We are going to be working like this, and we have to make the best of it.
Thank you, Captain. Others, you have anything to add? Otherwise, I would have to end this session.
Business as usual. The normal will be probably way away, but I agree that there'll be some small spurts where we will have certain lockdowns and we will have to start working from home. That's the new norm. That's what I would leave it at.
Okay. On a concluding note, I would like to share we have 2 poll questions. The participants have voted that it will take at least 6 to 12 months, even before we can see any normalcy is restored. Normalcy in the which makes sense. Then the top 3 concerns with respect to COVID-19, one is of course the global recession, financial impact, and the third being supply chain issues. So supply chain and logistics being critical. And I think the positive side of COVID is it has shown that logistics is an essential service, and logistics is a very important element which everybody, right from government, enterprises, individuals, everybody realized in this COVID scenario. And as all of the panelists said, everybody has to get used to the new norm, stay home and stay safe. With this, I have to conclude this webinar. We had an excellent panel and shared by them. Of course, there are few questions by the participants which we couldn't take up in time, but we look forward as a new norm. Even at Maritime Gateway, now we are organizing more and more webinars on this platform. So we'll stay in touch with all of you. We had a very good response. About 380 people registered for this webinar, and they stayed throughout the session. We have 2 webinars coming up next week. I'll keep you posted. With this, I have to end this webinar. Thank you very much for all the panelists and speakers and participants who have made this a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.